And that's a 15-year felony. So if you are found guilty by a jury, you can go to prison for up to 15 years. So Mr. Musgrove, I know where you're going with this, and none of that is valid. None of that is law.
I'm not the all caps name. Of course.
None of that is valid. None of that is law. You are standing in my courtroom. I have jurisdiction over you. Still a crime. Still a crime.
But I'm not
still
a corporation. I'm a living person.
Yep, and that's why you're standing in front of me. If you were dead, the case would be dismissed.
Today's case features a heated courtroom exchange involving a man identified as a sovereign citizen who is facing allegations of embezzling more than $60,000. As the hearing begins, he attempts to rely on several familiar arguments often associated with sovereign citizen claims. However, the judge quickly addresses those points and keeps the proceedings moving forward without entertaining the unsupported theories.
And that's why we have
a stand out is the judge's confident and sometimes humorous way of handling the situation while still maintaining control of the courtroom. Her responses show that she has little patience for arguments that don't align with established legal procedures. The back and forth between the defendant and the judge creates a tense yet memorable exchange that many viewers find both surprising and engaging to watch. Let us know what you think about how the judge handled this hearing, and if you enjoy watching courtroom moments like this, be sure to stay tuned for more discussions like this
or more, but Mr. Dagger-Margosian, how do you wish to proceed?
Well, Your Honor, I am aware that Mr. Musgrove wants to present information to the court. I'm happy to be standby counsel if he wants to represent himself. Obviously, this court would have to go through the colloquy of that, but obviously it's Mr. Musgrove's legal right to at least ask the court to do that. So I'm here to observe at this point.
All right. So, Mr. Musgrove, when you were at the bench or up at the podium before, you said that you were appearing on behalf of yourself. So, Mr. Musgrove, are you asking to no longer have counsel represent you?
Well, what I'm understanding is that the courts is a private for-profit.
So, Mr. Musgrove, I know where you're going with this, and none of that is valid. None of that is law.
I'm not the all caps name. Of course,
none of that is valid. None of that is law. You are standing in my courtroom. I have jurisdiction over you. So
I tried to file paperwork with the clerk's office ahead of time so that you would have time to review it, and they denied me.
I know what you're talking about. None of that is valid under the law of the state of Michigan or the Constitution of the United States.
As the hearing continues, the defendant brings up one of the more common claims often associated with sovereign citizen arguments. The idea that a name written in all capital letters somehow changes the legal status of the case.
Like most of our
For many people watching, that claim can be confusing because it doesn't align with how legal documents actually work. In reality, using capital letters in official paperwork is simply a formatting style that appears in many legal and government documents, and it doesn't create a separate identity or change the court's authority. Arguments like this often give the impression that someone has relied on quick online explanations or misunderstood information about supposed legal loopholes. Instead of strengthening the position, these claims usually make the situation more complicated and can slow down the proceedings while the judge addresses them. That's part of why courtroom exchanges like this sometimes become frustrating to watch, since the court still has to respond to each claim, even when the argument itself doesn't carry legal weight. Moments like this also spark discussion among viewers about why these ideas continue to circulate and why some people rely on them when facing serious charges. Regardless of the reason, the judge typically has to redirect the hearing back to the actual legal issues involved so the case can move forward.
What do you mean? It is.
No.
The Supreme Court says it is.
What does it say it is?
The Supreme Court says that if we were at the age of 18, we were supposed to claim our minor status.
Nope, not valid.
Okay.
So here's what I would say to you. Mr. Dagger-Margosian is, like most of our public defenders, exceptional attorneys and very well versed in the law and very experienced. He gives legal advice. You may not like the legal advice, but it's usually good advice. I've never had anyone from the public defender's office not wholeheartedly try to represent their clients. So what you are talking about is not valid, and it is not going to get you out of this case. You're not going to be able to say all those things because it's not valid.
Everyone involved in this court case has a financial interest in the case.
I don't have a financial interest in your case. I get paid by the state of Michigan, whether you plead, whether it gets dismissed. I don't make any money off you. We have budgets. The court system is not a profit generating revenue. We are here to represent people so that people who are charged with crimes are protected. People who are victims of crimes are protected. And that's why we have.
In order for there to be a crime, there has to be a victim. There is no.
Well, there is a victim in this case.
The victim would be the company.
You are charged.
I can't face
Ashley, just hold on. So your crime that you are charged with, which you are innocent as of this time, let me grab the right file, is failure. Oh, this is let me see. This is an embezzlement charge. So you are charged in count 1 with embezzlement 50,000 or more, but less than 100,000. That being an agent, servant, or employee of Hardwoods of Michigan Industries did convert to your own use without the consent of your employer or principal industrial tools and equipment in the amount of $68,938.40 or money or equipment. And that's a 15-year felony. So if you are found guilty by a jury, you can go to prison for up to.
Many sovereign citizen defendants often request a jury trial, believing it may improve their chances in court. However, in many cases, this strategy doesn't seem to work in their favor because juries tend to focus on the actual legal evidence rather than alternative legal theories. When defendants rely heavily on unusual legal arguments instead of addressing the charges directly, it can sometimes leave a negative impression on jurors who may view the behavior as confusing or disconnected from the facts of the case. Because of that, situations like this can feel tough to watch, especially when it appears that the defendant is strongly committed to beliefs that don't align with standard legal procedures. The judge and jury must still focus on the evidence and applicable law, regardless of how unconventional the arguments may be. As the case moves forward, viewers are often left wondering whether the defendant will change strategy or continue relying on the same approach throughout the trial.
Charged in count 2 with using a computer to commit a crime to facilitate the charge in count 1, that carries a maximum penalty of up to 10 years in prison. And the way the statute is set up, I can actually stack those possibly. So you potentially could be looking at up to 25 years in prison. So the victim that's alleged in this would be that business.
Right, and I can't face that accuser because that business can't get on the stand for me to ask questions. And a third party.
But their representative can. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. So I have 189,000 of student loan debt that was forgiven to be a lawyer. You do not. And Mr. Dagger Margosian, Mr. Isaac Sneed, all of the attorneys here went to law school to know the law, and their job is to advise you of the law. So yes, they can. Yes, you can be charged.
Everything, all the laws and statutes that you guys go by
are legal.
Corporations. They're for
still a crime. Still a crime.
But I'm not
still
a corporation. I'm a living person.
Yep, and that's why you're standing in front of me. If you were dead, the case would be dismissed.
Yeah, the all caps name is dead.
That means nothing. That's not valid. Okay. It's not legal. Right. So, do you want to represent yourself, or do you want to have an attorney to represent you?
I need some time to think.
Okay. I'm going to set this for another pretrial on March 20th at 8:30 in the morning. And Ms. Adams, could I get a notice of hearing from Ms.
This man may want to avoid continuing with this kind of behavior in future
What does it say it is?
Because judges generally do not respond well to sovereign citizens style arguments. After watching the entire exchange, it seems like he may have made his situation worse by continuing to speak without presenting strong legal arguments.
Here's what I would say to you. Mr. Dagger Margosian is,
he appeared
like
to be
most
digging
of our
himself
public
deeper
defenders,
into
exceptional
trouble
attorneys.
at this point.
And
some viewers
very
might
well
feel
versed in the
frustrated
law
watching
and
the
very
hearing unfold because of how
He gives legal
unusual and
advice. You may not
confusing
like
the
the legal
arguments became.
advice, but it's
While the
usually good
judge likely
advice.
focused on
I've never
maintaining
had
control
anyone
of the
from the public
courtroom and
defender's
following
office
legal procedures, the defendant's
not
approach didn't
wholeheartedly
seem
try
to
to
help his
represent the
case.
clients.
Many people
So
watching were
what
probably
you are
left
talking
wondering whether the
about
situation was
is
simply
not
a result
valid,
of poor
and it is
strategy
not going
or a
to get you out of this
misunderstanding
case.
of how the
You're
legal
not going to
system
be able to
works.
say
Overall,
all those
viewers
things.
can decide
It's
for
not
themselves
valid.
whether they found the case
Everyone in this
ridiculous or
involved
simply
in
a
this
typical
court case
example of
is
someone
has a
representing
financial
themselves
interest
without
in the
fully
case.
understanding the
That's what it
process.
I don't have a
If
financial
you enjoy
interest in
this
your
type of
case. I get
content,
paid by the
be
state
sure
of
to
Michigan,
like
whether
and
you plead,
subscribe for
whether it
more
gets
courtroom
dismissed.
moments like
I don't
this.
make any money.